1 Timothy chapter 2. I want to start today by asking you a question. What kind of impact do you want to leave on this world? Now, think about it for a moment. Do you want to bring hope, healing, or maybe peace? You know, the truth is, all of us have the potential to make a difference, no matter where we are or what we do. And in 1 Timothy chapter 2, Paul gives us a roadmap to do just that, through prayer, peace, and purposeful living. Now, let's explore how this ancient text speaks directly to the challenges and opportunities that we face today. The power of prayer for all people. Now, Paul begins this chapter with a straightforward yet profound command. Pray for all people. He specifically mentions intercession, praying on behalf of others, thanksgiving, expressing gratitude, and supplication, making specific requests. Now, Paul doesn't stop there. He highlights the importance of praying for those in authority, such as leaders and rulers. Now, this is important because leaders shape the environment that we live in. Whether we agree with them or not, their decisions impact our lives and the lives of others. And by praying for them, we're inviting God's wisdom, justice, and peace into their leadership. And this can lead to a more peaceful and godly society, which aligns with God's desire for all people to know Him. You know, prayer is not just a personal tool. It's a spiritual action that can influence families, communities, and nations. It reminds us that no one is beyond God's reach, and it keeps our hearts soft towards others, even those we might find difficult to love. But this week, I'm going to ask you, choose a leader, whether in your workplace, your city, or for our nation, and commit to praying for them daily. Also, take time to thank God for specific people in your life who have been a blessing to you. You know, gratitude changes our perspective and strengthens our relationships. God's desire for salvation. So next, Paul shifts to his focus to God's ultimate goal, salvation for all. He emphasizes that God desires everyone to come to the knowledge of the truth, which is found in Jesus Christ. Paul describes Jesus as the one mediator between God and humanity, the one who gave his life as a ransom for all. And, you know, this passage reveals the heart of God, a heart that longs for every person to experience His love and salvation. It's not about exclusivity, it's about inclusivity. And God's grace is available to everyone, regardless of their past, culture, or status. So think about that for a minute. Jesus' role as a mediator means that He bridges the gap between us and God. Through His sacrifice, He made it possible for us to have a personal relationship with the Creator. It's a gift, freely given, but one that requires us to share it with others. So, consider the people in your life who might feel far from God. How can you share His love with them? It might be through a simple conversation, a kind gesture, or even inviting them to church. But the bridge that helps others find truth of Christ begins with you. Living in peace and holiness. So next, Paul paints a picture of the kind of life that honors God, one marked by peace, godliness, and dignity. He encourages us to live without anger or division, especially when we come before God in prayer. So, you know, in a world that is filled with conflict and chaos, Peace and unity are powerful testimonies of God's presence. And when we live with integrity and resolve conflicts, we reflect the character of Christ and draw others toward him. So think about that for a minute. Paul's instruction to pray, lifting up holy hands, is a call to sincerity. It's not just about physical posture or about the condition of our hearts. Anger, grudges, and disputes can block our relationship with God and hinder our prayers. So think about that for a minute. Is there someone you're holding resentment towards? Take a step towards forgiveness this week. Whether it's a heartfelt conversation or simply releasing the offense in your heart, choose peace. And as you pray, ask God to help you approach him with clean hands and a pure heart. Honoring God in our roles. So, Paul concludes this chapter by addressing how men and women can honor God in their roles. For men, it's about leading in prayer and avoiding quarrels. For women, it's about focusing on inner beauty, modesty, and good deeds rather than outward appearance. Paul also highlights the importance of learning in submission, which reflects humility before God. Now, Paul's message here is countercultural, not because it limits, but because it redirects our focus to what truly matters. Modesty and humility are not about suppressing individuality, but about pointing our lives towards God's glory rather than our own. So I want you to think about this for a minute. Submission is often misunderstood. It's not about being lesser or inferior. It's about aligning ourselves with God's order and his purposes. When we embrace our God-given roles with humility and joy, we become vessels for his work in this world. Now, this week, I'm going to ask you to reflect on what values you're projecting. Are you more focused on external appearance or status than on developing a heart of kindness and generosity? Maybe this week's a good time to choose one area where you can shift your focus inward and cultivate the qualities that honor God. So, as we close today, let's take a moment to consider what Paul's words mean for us. Imagine a world where every believer prayed earnestly for others, where peace and godliness were the norm, and where each of us honored God through our actions and attitudes. This is the kind of world that our God envisions, and he's calling us to help him build it. But you know what? It starts with you. It starts with your prayers, your choices, and your commitments to live out these principles. So I'm going to challenge you this week. Take one step closer to the life Paul describes in 1 Timothy chapter 2. Whether it's through prayers, forgiveness, sharing your faith, or focusing on inner beauty. Let's be the change we want to see. And as you leave here today, ask yourself, what's one thing I can do differently to live a life that pleases God? Now, reflect on that and let it shape your actions. Because when we align our lives with God's will, we not only transform ourselves, we transform the world around us. I'm going to take a moment here and offer a prayer for the needs, hopes that you hold in your heart today. Okay, ready? I'll start. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Amen. That was beautiful. I want to thank you for joining me today. I'll be back tomorrow for 1 Timothy chapter 3. There's some lessons in there for us, I can assure you, and I can't wait to share them with you. Don't forget, hug your family. They love you. And I'll be back tomorrow, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.